You won't have to be looking for it. All right, it's now time for Policing with You.
It's the morning show.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm way. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Good morning to all of you out there listening, and welcome to another edition of Policing with You. I'm your host for today, Inspector Marvin Thompson. And this morning I'm just going to share a little with you about something that we may not normally think of when we're looking at St. Kitts and Nevis, but I assure you that based on the legislation that it is something that we need to give more attention to. And that subject is trafficking in persons, or as we would normally refer to it, human trafficking. Okay. Now, when we hear human trafficking, generally we don't see ourselves as being a state or a country that might be in any way involved in that. We look more to the movie, when the movie Taken, we see persons being abducted, going places, or persons shoved in a container, going places. But I assure you that the human trafficking aspect has some nuances that is just the small part of it. And so for us, our Trafficking in Persons or Human Trafficking Act is Chapter 4.40. It's Trafficking in Persons Prevention Act. And if I should just read what the definition in terms of what trafficking in persons means, it says, trafficking in persons means the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring or receipt of a person by means of threat or use of force or other means of coercion, or by abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power or position of vulnerability, or by giving or receiving of payment or benefit to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. That is, again, trafficking in persons mean the recruitment, the transportation, the transfer, the harboring, or the receipt of a person by means of threat or use of force or other means of coercion, or abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, or a position of vulnerability, or by giving or receiving of payment or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. So let's break down some of that. They have a lot of things in there. Let's deal with the last line where it says giving someone a benefit who has control over another person to get consent to achieve what it deems trafficking. And let's put it in the context of a parent and a child. Put in the context of a parent and a child, where a parent receives some benefit, whether cash or otherwise, to allow their child to have sexual relations with somebody else. Based on our law, that constitutes human trafficking. Based on our law, because that child is in a position of vulnerability, that parent exercises control over that child, And if that parent receives payment or benefit to consent to that person exploiting that child sexually, that constitutes trafficking, not just for the parent, but for the person who gives the benefit. Both are guilty of human trafficking based on our law. And in our law there, the definition with the latter parts, there are some explanations for some of them. So since we're talking about the exploitation includes keeping a person in a state of slavery, subjecting the person to practices similar to slavery, compelling or causing persons to provide forced labor or services, keeping a person in a state of servitude, including sexual servitude, the prostitution of a person or engaging in any form of commercial sexual exploitation, including but not limited to pimping, pandering, procuring, profiting from prostitution, maintaining a brothel, and child pornography. And I'll use this example. Let's say there's some, in St. Kitts, prostitution is not legal. Prostitution still is an offense in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I repeat that prostitution is still an offense in St. Kitts and Nevis. But there are other countries where it is not. So let's say that someone goes to a country where prostitution is not an offense, hires or contracts someone who is in the profession to come to St. Kitts for the purpose of carrying out prostitution. The person who hires that person to come to St. Kitts to do the prostitution based on our law can be convicted for human trafficking. And his defense might be, but that is what she does. Plus, we had an arrangement. She agreed. The law says explicitly that she cannot give consent to be trafficked. And the fact that that is what she does, her sexual behavior, or her profession, is irrelevant as it pertains to the law. So you can't make the argument in your defense that that is what she does and that she consented. This law explicitly states that the victim of trafficking cannot give consent to trafficking. Even they say yes. It's the same standard in terms of the age of consent for sex. That if the girl is under 16, even if she say yes, that yes is no. So every word come out about is no, regardless of what you hear, as long as she's under 16. With the Human Trafficking Act, a person cannot consent to be trafficked. So even if they said yes and you make a deal, it's still no, based on the law. Even if the person is engaged or used to be engaged in particular sexual behavior, it still doesn't matter based on the law. It says those are irrelevant insofar as the act is, this particular piece of legislation is concerned. You can't make the argument in your defense. Well, you can make it, but it doesn't make any sense. It rules it out in the act automatically. So, and there's another thing as it pertains to this. If you look at smuggling, normally, somebody makes a contract, they want to come to another country. Let's say someone from another country wants to come to St. Kitts. Make an arrangement with somebody with a boat, pull up on the seashore, jump off, come and go about the business. That's smuggling. That's fine. If on the other hand, You have the same
Well,
circumstances.
not fine, but
Okay, no. In terms of the trafficking,
Okay.
so that's different.
all right.
So you make an arrangement. While it is illegal, you have a mutual benefit, and the law consider that as human smuggling. You still get yourself in trouble from either end, but it's not considered trafficking. If on the other hand, though, when the persons come and they expect to get off, you divert them somewhere else, or you make an arrangement where you tell them they're gonna stay. We're gonna put you up in this place until we work out where you're gonna go with. And when they're in that spot now, you have the documents, you put them to work. That shift from smuggling straight into trafficking.
Okay.
And the act specifically mentions withholding of identification papers. So, especially for the purpose of being able to exploit the person to force them to do something, then you're committing the act of trafficking. If you invite somebody to work for you and you hold on the papers and you're paying them and you change the terms, so you want to pay them less or you want to exploit them in terms of the work and the benefit they receive or you receive, and you hold the papers, as we would say, hold the papers over the head, tell them if they make what nice you call the police or immigration, you're guilty of trafficking.
Okay.
If, let's say, the person comes, they're working for you, you have an arrangement, you pay. The deal is that I'll pay for you to come, I'll pay for you to get settled, and we'll work on an arrangement for you to pay back at a certain thing. But the people just paying, and every time they ask a question, nothing, the needle is moving, you diverting from the question or you threaten them in some way or fashion, you're guilty of trafficking.
Okay.
So, and if we look around St. Kitts, you would start to wonder, are we as innocent as it pertains to this, or do we indeed? Now, is it possible that we very well might have more instances of this offense than we might think or otherwise think? One of the other things as it pertains to this in terms of the transportation and the transfer, for the human smuggling, you need to cross a country border. So from St. Kitts to Nevis wouldn't count because we are one country.
Right.
For trafficking, if you take them from the village up here, up Lagreed, and you get them back night, for any of those purposes, you commit trafficking. If you move them from one room of your house, let's say with the same situation I mentioned with the parent and the child, and the child room is over there, but there's a spare room over on the other side that the parent want to use, and they send the child over there, they're guilty of trafficking in terms of the transfer, because they move them from one area to the next, in addition to the purpose. So, you're covered or you're caught either way, even if you want to make an excuse for one and say that, but you're in the house, it doesn't matter. From the time you move from one area to the next, even if it is in the same space,
Wow.
in terms of the dwelling, you commit the offense, or I could be liable for the offense of trafficking. It is that serious. Okay, so we take the break now.
tired of Wi-Fi dead zones in your home? The Cable has the ultimate solution with our whole home Wi-Fi coverage. Say goodbye to frustrating signal drops and hello to seamless connectivity in every corner of your home. No more
Mom, my tablet's not working in my bedroom. My game is freezing, Daddy.
or WhatsApp calls dropping as you walk around the house. So many people struggle with dead zones and restricted Wi-Fi, and the Cable has the answer. Enjoy full blanket increased Wi-Fi coverage with installation in 48 hours or less. Whole home Wi-Fi coverage is here. Get the whole family connected today. Come in or call the Cable at 465-2588 to get your whole home Wi-Fi boost installed. The Cable, always giving you more. Terms and conditions apply.
What has you so happy? My home internet just got upgraded and I didn't even have to pay for it. What? Which network you have? Flow. Now I can get the fastest fiber internet in St. Kitts and Nevis for the lowest price. Fastest internet for the lowest price? What's the catch? No catch, my friend. 300 megabits per second for just $135 a month. With Flow, you truly get the best internet experience around.
Switch to Flow for the fastest fiber internet at the lowest price. Visit a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm way. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back to the program, Policing with You.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So welcome back. So we were dealing with the subject of human trafficking, and as I said, if we take a look, we might want to consider that there might be more instances of human trafficking based on what our legislation defines it as we might think. When it's not the abducting persons for getting the organs or anything like that, there might be instances of trafficking for sexual exploitation, where that might be debt bondage for persons who might be immigrants and are working, might be issues of as it pertains to servitude. But what we need to do is to be aware, and as they always say, for all other crimes, if you see something, suspect something, say something. What this law does, again, that is not normal in general for our legislation, is it provides for restitution. So, a person who is a victim of human trafficking, if the offender is convicted, the court may provide for that person to pay restitution to the individual. So it says, where a person is convicted of the offense of trafficking in person, the court may order that person to pay restitution to the victim, and restitution shall be paid to the victim in terms of the following consideration. When the offender is convicted, the accused is convicted, as far as possible, from any property forfeiture, so you know that means, and yes, if you benefit, and it can be proven that you have benefited from human trafficking, let's say in terms of let's say prostitution, or you have anything like that, and you're making money, proceeds of crime can be forfeited, so you can lose your house, your property, your cash, or other assets can be forfeited.
Before you continue, I just want to let the public know that the line is now open, 662-8674. And before you continue, from your experience, what are the most common forms of human trafficking seen locally? You made examples, but you never really specify for us here in St. Kitts.
Honestly, for what I have seen that came the closest to what I might be suspicious that it's a possible case of human trafficking would have been some offenses, sexual offenses, where you have children.
You can actually put on your headphone. Remember your thoughts. But we're going to take this call. We're going to take this call. Good morning. You're live.
Good morning, call.
Yes, go ahead. You're live. All right, go ahead. Continue. I hope you remember your thoughts.
Yes, so I was saying that the same scenario I used earlier in terms of the parent and the child. While we generally try to go a different route in terms of the unlawful sexual intercourse, unlawful carnal knowledge, I am certain you miss out the benefit of the further investigation and proof that if we dig deeper, that we very well might find a case that could be
Human
from trafficking under this. And we hear the stories, but we need the evidence.
Good morning. You're live.
Good morning, GQ. Good morning, Police in Review.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to my good friend Ian Queely. I know you're listening. Stafford Library, Mary Lake, Seabrooks, the Dream Team. So we want to here, bringing Ado around us. Officer.
Yes, sir.
You're aware that trafficking goes with immigration laws?
Yes, sir.
And we must have strong immigration laws based on what we've seen around this St. Kitts Nevis Federation at this present time. We need a lot of things. Our legislators them got to come to the media and talk with us, because poor people on the road like me and take what we see going on, We need member states. And when a wicked man up America is doing now, we need security around these two islands. Because it's Newfoundland. And everybody gonna run in here, Where poor people is saying around Bastille and elsewhere, we need the legislators them to come to the table. In serious times. Officer,
yes, sir.
We need rap sheet from most of these member states. We ain't got no problem with people coming into St. Kitts. But we must know who in here. That is Western laws. That is Robert Western laws. We must know who is in the Federation. With what's going on. No, when I'm gone. But let me turn the leaf. Let me turn the leaf them in the book. We need our legislators them to come and let me got some tone on. We can't run this country like this. Otherwise, man will got to take where they get, Have a good morning. This is Jam Down.
Thank you, sir.
As he mentioned that, let me ask you this. How effectively do you think the current law, or laws, pardon me, and penalties deter trafficking activities?
For me, I don't know, but the laws are there on the books. And sometimes what is lacking, and this is in general, is a lot of public education. We have laws that speaks to a lot of things that the public may not be aware of, notwithstanding that the law says that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So you can't make the argument that I didn't know. You still, as long as it is there, it is expected that you should know.
Right. Being that you're part of the society.
Yes.
Right.
But the penalty for trafficking, I know it's like $250,000 if convicted. I know it's 250,000 convicted and about 25 years, something like that. But I know for sure the fine is as much as $250,000.
Earlier, you made mention of evidence as it relates to the sexual act of the example that you were given
Yeah.
earlier. Could you discuss the investigative process?
For any report, for any offense, you need a report. Where we struggle, even as officers, is for persons to make a report. In the absence of a victim or somebody who makes a report, even though something is happening, or hands are tied. Because at the end of the day, you need an offense committed either against the state or against an individual or individuals.
Right.
And in the absence of, where the law doesn't specify that it's an offense against the state, we need the individual or individuals who are affected to come to the police and make a report, or to have someone report on their behalf, but they still would need them as the witness to say that this was done to me.
So, in other words, as it relates to this dry example, you said you're hearing things, but you're not getting any one step forward.
Yes.
So, in Village X, someone telling you there's a prostitution ring going on. You go, you check it out. You now need that person to come and give evidence, and they don't. That case just falls to the
Not
ground.
necessarily, because even though you get the lead, if we go and so we go as let's use the word undercover, and you go as the officer doing investigation as let's say a patron, and your offered services, so your city runnings, now you have something. Even in the absence of that person,
right,
who gave you the initial information,
right,
now you have something because you now can testify based on what you saw. That helps. So even sometimes you don't get persons to give the statement, sending the information is still important, because we might be able to find another avenue to get that done outside of you having to give the statement. But what the law provides for victims of trafficking, though, is that their identity they can give the evidence anonymous, or they give instructions. They would say a non-disclosure order agreement that nobody involved in the case can say who the victims are. You can't give the identity of the victims, nor the victim's family, or you get in trouble.
Right.
That would be an offense. So it provides for that. So it provides for them to be anonymous.
I got you. Officer, we have just about 3 more minutes, but I'll give you 5 for you.
Okay. So yeah, in terms of the trafficking, this speaks to, like I said, it speaks to the persons, for restitution for the persons, because the persons might be mentally, emotionally traumatized. So it speaks to the person providing restitution for the person to get the help that they might need to come back. It speaks for medical offenses, loss of income, that restitution, and it very well might come from the forfeiture of that property, those properties and assets, to ensure that that person get back to a particular standard. Additionally, trafficking in person is an extraditable offense. So you can be extradited to another state if you are found guilty, or if they say that based on, you might invite the person from country X. Country X say no, that's my citizen, they want to try you there. Our law provides, this law provides for that.
Okay.
So like I said, on the trafficking, there are simple things. It might be related to prostitution, it might be related to persons who are immigrant to St. Kitts to work, but find themselves in certain situations. It might be related as simple as persons who have control over another, who make a deal with somebody else for the person to exploit a person, all such circumstance may constitute human trafficking on the basis of our trafficking in persons. So I would just encourage, as we do for all offenses, for persons to just be aware and say something. You may not want to give your statement, and we provide for you to provide information anonymously without giving your name. So give the information for whatever the offense is. Give the information, make a call, share the information, at least point us in the right direction. And where you are personally affected, or persons who are personally affected, come forward and follow through with the process. Give your statement, go to court. Bad people or persons intent on doing wrong are empowered when good people do nothing. When we fail to do step up, bullies thrive. And so it's not just in school. We want persons to, when you see something, say something. When you're affected, say something. Make the report and follow through with the statement. It's only then that we would get the justice that we speak so much about. When you want your justice, you have to take ownership of your justice and be willing to follow the process. So with those words, I want to wish all of you a good day. God bless, and hope that you'll tune in to another edition of Policing You next week. And God bless.
Equal rights for all in every way. Say what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think about justice.